Hi guys, this is the second part of Chapter 7, The Watsons Go to Birmingham, 1963. It goes like this. I can show you better than I can tell you. Ring any bells? Oh yeah, that does sound kind of familiar. Well, now's as good a time as any. Show me. All right, dear, you asked for it. Byron, dear, could you please come down here for a minute? Mama didn't even raise her voice. She knew we'd be listening to everything they were saying. Byron took a deep breath, then jumped off the top bunk and started down the stairs. I followed right behind him, pretending I was a reporter. I shoved an imaginary microphone in his face. Any famous last words, 541? Anything to say to all the little chihuahuas before they start coming out of the woodwork? Do you think the governor might call before they pull the switch? Are you going to come clean and tell what led you down the life of crime? I figured he didn't have anything to lose, so he got halfway down the steps. He popped me hard square in the ear. Getting hit when you're not expecting it can really shake you up. My legs started wobbling, my knees started shaking like they were made out of jello, my eyes started leaking water, and my nose started running. I tried to go tell on by, but all I could do was sit on the next step, holding my ear as tears jumped out of my eyes. My throat wouldn't quit jerking up and down and making weird noises. Joey sat on the step next to me with tears jumping out of her eyes. When Byron walked into the living room, Mama said, "Mr. Watson, I'd like to introduce you to your son, long-lost son from Mexico City, Senor Broncito Watson." Joey made me quit sobbing so we could see what Daddy was going to do next. And for the longest time, there was no sounds from the living room. We just looked at each other. Finally, the chair whooshed as Mama got off Dad's lap, then whooshed again as Dad stood up. After a long time, Dad said, Then, well, son, what can I say? It's pretty much permanent, isn't it? Dad's voice was real calm, and that was scarier than if he'd been yelling. Yes, Dad? Yes, Dad. So there's nothing I can do, is there? I don't think so, Dad. You don't think so? Well, judging by the condition of your hair, I wouldn't say that thinking is one of your strong suits, is it? Byron mumbled something. Wow, he must have felt like he didn't have anything to lose, 'cause Mama and Daddy just didn't tolerate mumbling. Dad's voice shifted. Excuse me? I said, no, Dad. No, Dad. Joey started boo-hooing again. Whenever Dad repeated anything you said like this, there was some big trouble about to follow. Maybe there is something that can be done after all about this. Suddenly, Dad and Byron were in the hallway leading upstairs. Dad looked surprised to see me and Joey sitting there. He smiled at us. Hi, Kenneth. Hi, Pumpkin. Why are you two crying? I could just point at my ear, but Joey said, Oh, Daddy, please, what do you want to do? Don't worry, Joe. Everything's okay. You just sit and wait down here. Dad and Byron disappeared in the bathroom and the door locked behind them. Dad hasn't told me to wait downstairs, so I ran up and stood by the bathroom door peeking through the keyhole. Someone had stuffed toilet paper in the hole, though, so I had to drop to the floor and peek under the door to see what was going on. From the way Dad's and By's feet were standing, I could tell that By was sitting on the toilet and Dad was standing at the sink. Dad was rumbling around in the medicine cabinet, and I could hear By sniff a couple of times. And then Dad started whistling that stupid song, Straight Up and Fly Right. Dad's feet took 2 steps from the sink toilet. Byron said, Oh, man. I heard the k-ch-k-ch sound, and the floor around his feet started being covered with stiff reddish-brown hair. Dad kept whistling and cutting. Oh, man, hold your head still. I'd hate to take one of these ears off by mistake, Dad went on whistling. Oh, man. Kenneth, what are you doing? Mama called from downstairs. I ran from the door and got halfway down the steps before I said, Nothing, Mama. Come on down here and do nothing. Yes, Mama. What's your father doing? He's whistling Straight Up and Fly Right and cutting all of Byron's hair off. Mama laughed. Joey sat next to her looking worried. The 3 of us sat on the couch for about a half an hour before we heard By scream as loud as he could. Dad hollered down, Just a little aftershave. We heard the bathroom door. Dad came down the first steps. "Mrs. Watson," he said, "I'd like to introduce you to your long-lost son from Siam, His Royal Highness Yule Watson." Byron stepped into the living room with a real mean scowl on his face. Not only had Dad cut off all of Byron's hair, he also shaved his head. By's head was so shiny it looked like it was wet. And Mrs. Watson," Dad said, "you can't possibly deny this is your child. You can tell this boy has got tons of sand blood in him. Look at those ears." Poor Byron. If he had known how far his ears stuck out on the side, I bet you he would never have gotten that hairdo. Mama put her hand over her mouth and said, "Lord, don't blame me for that side of my family. Someone switched this child at the hospital." Joey laughed because she was relieved Byron hadn't been executed. Mama and Dad laughed as Byron's ears, but none of them laughed as hard as me. "Go get the broom and dustpan and sweep that garbage in the bathroom up, and then go stay in your room, By. This is it. You're old enough now, and you've been told this time something's going to be done. Now beat it." Dad's forehead was all wrinkled when he said this. They sent me and Joey outside so they could have one of those adult-only talks. When me and Joey drifted back into the house after what seemed like enough time for them to talk, Dad was on the telephone. He was holding the receiver away from his ear and making a funny face. "I could hear someone yelling in the phone," Dad whispered to Mom. "Why does she think she's got to yell in the phone for a long-distance phone call?" Mama slapped his arm and whispered back, "You leave my mama alone." They were talking to Grandma Sands all the way in Alabama. Me and Joey crowded up next to them on the couch and heard Grandma Sands yell, "This is costing y'all a fortune, Daniel. Let me talk to my baby again." Dad handed the phone back to Mama, then dug his finger in his ear like he was going deaf. Mama gave Dad a dirty look and said, "Okay, Mama, we'll be getting back to you. We love you. Bye-bye." She said the Southern style. And that was it. We thought it was the end of Byron's latest adventure until a week later when Dad brought home the TTAB 700 in the Brown Bomber. All right.